Welcome to Her Fantasy Football. You can hear us on Blog Talk Radio /Her Fantasy Football and on iTunes. Make sure to subscribe to us on herfantasyfootball.com so you can get our newsletter. The first newsletter we'll have this year goes out tomorrow and will include our much anticipated draft sheet. And a friendly reminder, make sure to tune in to our radio show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Network from 9 to 11 Eastern on Saturday night. Also, you can chat with us on Twitter at HerFantasyFB and on Facebook /HerFantasyFootball. I'm your host, Courtney Kirby.
And I'm Ashley Williams.
And I'm Brandon Marianne Lee.
Yay, and it's preseason. Who was so excited for football on Sunday until there was no football on Sunday?
Oh, that was a nightmare.
You can't cancel the Hall of Fame game.
You can, actually.
You can. They did. They did.
Yeah. Touche. Mm-hmm.
Touche. Mm-hmm. Touche.
I do feel bad, though, because it wasn't their fault. It should have dried. It didn't. I just felt bad for the was it the third-string quarterback that was so jazzed to play? Lost his one chance.
Yeah. Well,
Bummer.
maybe
they'll
give
him another chance.
Thursday.
Yeah, Rodgers isn't going to play, I'm sure.
Maybe they'll throw him a bone. We'll see.
Yeah. Although it would have been nice to do the Hall of Fame game because it was such a special one for both the Colts and the Green Bay Packers.
With
Brett Favre
yeah.
and then Marvin Harrison and Tony Dungy.
Dungy.
It was a big time, so
yeah,
that's okay. You know, I get emotional. I get emotional with these guys trying to make the team during the preseason. It's kind of upsetting.
Really? I know.
It's like the Olympics, actually, which are going on right now. But, you know, you think, like, these people have worked so hard their whole life, and this is it. This is it.
Maybe I'm heartless. I cry at sports montages in the Olympics, but preseason, I'm like, yeah, riff-raff.
Riff-raff.
Stop wasting my time. The real players on the field.
Wow.
You're harsh, Ashley. You're harsh.
Well, here's the thing, though, is a lot of them go to, not a lot, some do the practice squad and such, and they shift around. It's a tough life, but it's also a life that you know you're entering into. It's like with baseball. They all have to work their way all the way up from the farm system. It's part of the process.
That's right.
All right. Well, I'll cry alone.
This week we will be going matchup by matchup in no particular order and cover every single team with our must drafts, our sleepers, and our don't drafts. Might be some ballsy calls here, but this is what we do at Her Fantasy Football. We give it to you the way we think it should be given. So we're going to start off the show with the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams.
And we're going to start in particular with the Dallas Cowboys. And the only thing anyone is talking about at all about the Cowboys whatsoever is Ezekiel Elliott and that hamstring, which we were told is not a big deal. But he is not going to play in Saturday's preseason opener that has already been determined. I'm fine with that. I'm actually fine if he doesn't play in the second preseason game either. If he doesn't play in the third preseason game, I'm going to start getting a hint concerned. The third preseason game is kind of the dress rehearsal. We're going to kind of talk about that throughout the whole show is that, you know, basically these first two preseason games are going to be more about trying to see like kind of the sleeper talent, deep sleeper, or someone that you just think you can pick up from waiver wires later on. The third preseason game is considered the dress rehearsal, so you want everyone out there. And considering the fact that the Dallas Cowboys have pretty much based their entire offensive scheme off of the fact that Ezekiel Elliott is one of the best football players to come out of college in forever. If he's not out there, I'm a little bit concerned. And you know what? His hype is warranted for those of you that are just getting back into fantasy football and coming back to us in August because, you know, you're like, I'll start my research now because, I don't know, you've been doing anything other than fantasy football over the last few months. You know, here's the deal. You know, he only allowed one solitary sack out of 108 pass blocking snaps in college. That's right. He caught 92.9% of the passes thrown his way, and he gained over 1,000 yards just after contact at Ohio State. It is what's advertised, but not if he can't play. That's my problem. So, you know, with Odell Beckham Jr., when he missed 4 games, we thought, okay, that stinks, but we didn't have to take him in the first round. You have to take Ezekiel Elliott in the first round. Right now he's going as the 4th running back off the board. So it's a very different investment in him for the season. If you're in a dynasty, I mean, he's obviously the #1 pick. But for everything else, I'm a little bit nervous. He's still in the must draft, but I'm watching you. Speaking of must draft,
I think Todd Gurley's still
number one
over him on dynasty, but sophomore year, it's not like he's old.
Yeah, no, but the St. Louis Rams are so terrible on offense. I mean,
we'll get there.
We'll get there. You're right.
We'll get there. This is Peterson. This is the rookie against the sophomore.
That's right.
Yeah.
Probably neither one of them will play.
I'm okay with either of them. Neither of them are going to play this week, and they shouldn't. But Des Bryant also is a must start, and I just wanted to say that because last season was horrible, just really, really bad. 9 games, only 31 passes, 401 yards. But before that, he went for 1,200 or more yards and caught 12 or more touchdowns in the previous 3 seasons. If Tony Romo's there, it's great. But again, we don't know what that is. Sleepers, watch out for the wide receivers. Someone's going to come out as a sleeper. It's not Terrence Williams, I can tell you that much. But someone is going to come out.
It never is.
Jason Witten was 4th in total receptions last year. So if you're in a PPR league, he's oddly a sleeper. So
he is. I think he's actually got great value. I'm kind of pumped for Witten this year.
Yeah, he's going in the 13th round.
He's so old, you've kind of forgotten about him. But with Romo back...
But sadly,
talking fantasy football with our dad a couple nights ago, and he threw a couple back with his boss that day, and I was like, "Don't forget about Jason Witten, Dad." And he starts laughing. He's like, starts basically cursing like I'm crazy. It's like, okay,
okay, Dad.
You do you, Dad. He's gonna pick a quarterback in the first round.
No way. Is that what he's gonna do?
I don't know. He was really drinking, so I don't know if it's really gonna happen. My dad does not drink, by the way. He's not like a big drinker, but they had a
continue
barbecue.
His losing streak.
Barbecue.
Just hold on to that losing streak, Dad.
Sorry,
you
Dad.
do you.
Hold strong on that QB.
But you know what? I will say with the quarterback, we will talk more about waiting on quarterback later. But Tony Romo is just really risky. If you could do like a back-to-back with a Kirk Cousins or a Tyrod Taylor, I'm cool with it. But still. We have him ranked number 13, and I think we're being generous.
Probably.
Generous. The Rams. I just wanted to take a moment. One of my girlfriend's daughters made the LA Rams cheerleading squad. And yes, she used to be a Broncos cheerleader, moved out to California, so now she's an LA Rams cheerleader, and it's very exciting, and it was not on Hard Knocks, which is featuring the Rams, so make sure you watch it because they have one player. It's going to be exciting. We'll talk about that one player right now, Todd Gurley. And I think Todd is the best running back off the board personally in just 13 games last season and possibly the worst team in the NFL. I think the only team that still deserves to be kicked out. He had 1,106 yards, 10 touchdowns, 21 receptions out of 26 targets for 188 receiving yards. And I just think, and that's a really bad team. That was with nobody. So now they're starting to build up their offense a little bit more, and I just think Todd Gurley's the best. And Rams defense, they're going 8th off the board, so you can't really sleep on them that much, but they're still legit. Sleepers, the next guy off the drafting board is Tavon Austin at the ADP of 129.
It's not funny.
I can't decide if this team or Philadelphia is my favorite team to cover because I only have one player to talk about on each team. But I guess he's the sleeper. 434 yards rushing last year with 4 touchdowns, so that's really great for a receiver. He had also 5 receiving touchdowns with 473 yards. So, I mean, I really like him. I wouldn't jump for him, but I think that he's good. Don't worry about him being carted off the field. If you saw that in late July, it was just cramping from dehydration. So it's not a big deal. And don't draft everybody else, guys. Everybody else. Houston Texans and the San Francisco 49ers.
First, I'd like to say I can't believe you're drinking the Brandon juice on the Tavon Austin. What happened to you? Stay strong.
I
Stay
mean,
strong.
I have.
He's so
I haven't
late.
drafted him, but he's so late, and if you can even get him even later, I mean, in the 14th round, why not take him?
I know. I have to hate on him. He's one of those guys.
I didn't
It's a
mention
monster.
Lance Kendrick. I didn't do
Why would
that. Not on that train.
Lance Kendricks, come on now.
No.
No. Who's the
I
other?
thought you were the
other one
rookie
that-
quarterback tight end
I
connection.
am, but if Casey Keenum's going to be starting, yeah, I think that eventually he'll, the rookie will be starting, but it's going to be such a
Let me
hot
call it
mess.
Casey Keenum as well, like the radio guy. Is that
Oh yeah, sorry,
Casey Kasem.
Casey Kasem?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
Case Keenum.
Casey
I know,
Keenum, but it's
similar,
Casey Keenum.
but-
Like also
Yeah.
our listener, one of our favorite fans.
Yes.
Anyways, Houston
Hi,
Texans. Hi, Casey. Again, San Francisco 49ers.
To the Texans. So you've got your obvious must-starts, right? DeAndre Hopkins, Lamar Miller. DeAndre Hopkins, he's going 4th overall as a wide receiver. His overall ADP across all positions is 8th. But what's interesting is I always think, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is good, and he is good. He's an elite receiver. But he's only scored 3 less total fantasy points last year than Odell Beckham Jr. It's not like I always put him as like a tier below the Antonio Browns, the OBJ, but not really. He's right there. And
The funny thing is everybody else
right
is
there.
too. My husband just did a
Everybody
draft,
puts him
and
as
people were
tier down.
taking Brandon Cooks over DeAndre Hopkins, and it's like, okay.
he's the
I'll take
forgotten.
him.
Depending on your draft, he's a bit of a forgotten man and a hidden gem. Again, depending on your draft. If you draft with a lot of experienced people, they know about DeAndre Hopkins and they're drafting him appropriately. Hence why his overall is taken as the 8th highest player off of the board. But for the most part, like 3 less points. He's right there. He is right
But don't
there.
you
I
think
really
people
like
are
him.
baking in Brock Osweiler plus Lamar Miller coming to town and actually staying
No.
healthy?
Why would they? Why would they?
All
You've
right.
had Arian Foster over the years has been able to take touches out of the backfield. Alfred Blue is a god. I'm kidding.
I had a minute. I was like, what?
You're like, Ash. The quarterbacks have been horrible since the dawn of time.
And I'm
No.
sorry, look at Pittsburgh. They have the running game. Having a good running game is only going to open it up for DeAndre Hopkins. It's only going to open it up. So,
All right. I like this. Hot takes.
but I'm not a Brock Osweiler fan, so I get why people are hesitant for DeAndre Hopkins, but he is quarterback proof,
I get
people.
it too.
He is quarterback
He is quarterback proof.
Yes.
He's player proof. He's on an island on his own.
He
to
is.
some
He's-
extent,
I don't even
I
know
would
if he's
actually
in the
say,
same game as the other people.
To some extent, I would say that Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr. are actually more reliant on their quarterbacks than DeAndre Hopkins.
Absolutely.
I will stay.
Antonio Brown for sure. I don't know about Odell Beckham
for
Jr.
sure. We
Eli
don't know about
Manning's
Odell.
like
Eli's
the
never
Iron
done-
Man.
Yeah, Eli's,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
We don't need to worry about
But Eli
that.
Manning, he's still a step above any Texans quarterback ever of all time. So anyway, DeAndre Hopkins, target for him because he does just for whatever reason kind of he's in our heads associated as a slight tier down from the other guys, and he really isn't. Lamar Miller, he is the 6th running back on off the board, 13th overall. I think that's pretty okay for him. He finished 10th best last year out of running backs. I think it's worth the hype. I think he's going to have a bigger role this year, as we've stated in previous shows. I like him a lot. My sleepers are like real deep sleepers. Like these are guys that aren't even ranked overall. Jalen Strawn, 90th wide receiver off the board. I'm intrigued. I think he could be one of those guys if you're in a rough week that he's a guy that randomly maybe targeted in an end zone. That's what I see for him this season. And so I think if you're in a serious pinch, he's a guy that you can maybe think about. And then you've got their tight end who is he's his 3rd year. He's the starting tight end now. CJ, I always mess up his name, and by always this is the first time I've said it. Fedorowicz. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds good to
Fedorowicz.
me.
I've said it
I
3
don't think
times
anybody's
now.
ever said his name out loud, Ashley, so thank you for that.
Well, here you go. Fedorowicz, welcome to the NFL, buddy. This will be the first and probably last time we say your name on the show. But, again, based off the whole rookie, and no, Brock's not a rookie, but this is his first year starting as an NFL quarterback, they tend to lean on their tight ends. I'm intrigued. He's over Griffin, who played last year. So this guy clearly has displayed enough in training camp to position himself above Ryan Griffin in the tight end position. Not to say he's going to have a huge presence, because, again, he won't. But he's an interesting play if you got someone that goes down and hurt and you need to do a serious flyer, or maybe you're doing daily. Possibly. My don't drafts is Brock Osweiler. Don't do it. I'll be quicker on the San Francisco 49ers because you know I don't like talking. Carlos Hyde, he's an obvious. You've got to get him. He's going as the 16th running back off the board, which, again, I think is actually pretty okay for him. What do you guys think on that as his position?
It might be high, but there are so few single backs anymore. You have to do the
as a
upside.
solo back, you got to kind of go, I'm okay with 16th. I think that's going to be worth your spend. That's in the very end of the third / beginning of the fourth round. Why not? Yeah. That's fine. My sleepers are Bruce Ellington and Torrey Smith. Bruce Ellington you can get in the 20th to 21st round / the guy's not being drafted as a starting wide receiver. He's going 70th overall for wide receivers. And Torrey Smith is also going in the 22nd overall for wide receivers, and then in the 12th to 13th round. I actually really like Bruce, maybe even more than I like Torrey Smith. So
no, it's Torrey's year. It's Torrey year.
Torrey's here. Torrey. But either way, these are two starting wide receivers that essentially are not even being drafted in some leagues. So go for these guys. I think they're fine. Everybody else, don't draft anyone else, and definitely not the quarterback position.
I forgot. The San Francisco 49ers could be kicked out of the league, too.
It could be. But
you know what we said about the Oakland and Jacksonville Jaguars 2 years ago, and look at them now. Right. So maybe us just saying that will turn it around.
We've always had a soft spot for the Jags, though. It's too easy.
It's too easy.
It's like the Cleveland Browns. You can't go there.
Yeah. Detroit Lions of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Brandon. The Lions.
Well, okay, so I'm just going to be very clear with everyone. It was a slow news day today, and one of the beat writers for the Detroit Lions, Kyle, I think it's Meinke, from MLive.com, said that he believes that Marvin Jones is actually the wide receiver 1 on the Detroit Lions. And everyone, of course, accepted it as gospel and have moved on with their lives. I'm here to say, let's stop that. No. This is the time of year where you want to differentiate between opinions and facts. This guy's opinion is totally legitimate, and he has been there, and he's been watching the practices. I'm sure Marvin Jones looks great. To me, what this means is that now Marvin Jones went from I'm avoiding him to sure, if he falls to me. That's what it is. But Golden Tate, okay, he had 99 receptions in 2014, 90 receptions in 2015, behind Calvin Johnson. Now Calvin Johnson's gone. So that's the floor, right? His floor is 90 catches. As far as Marvin Jones' participation, sure, I think he'll be fine. But here's the deal. He was playing behind A.J. Green, but he only had 65 catches. You know what I'm saying? As a wide receiver too.
Quarterback, a different offense. Now he's with Stafford, and he's going to get those 99 receptions that Golden Tate got last year, because Golden Tate's going to be double covered, and Marvin Jones is going to be open. Marvin Jones is just as talented as Golden Tate, is my opinion. I can see why that guy said that, is because Golden Tate performed that well behind Calvin Johnson. Marvin Jones is going to perform that well behind Golden Tate, who's not Megatron.
But the problem
Tate is still the wide receiver 1 on that
team.
He is. Yes, but that means that he's going to be covered and Jones is going to be open.
I think that they're not going to double cover Golden Tate.
I don't think they can
be equally covered. I think they'll be equally covered. I think actually probably the beneficiary here is actually Eric Ebron, but we'll get to him in a second. What I will say, though, is that Marvin Jones is the down the field guy, and then Golden Tate, as always, is the intermediate short range guy. And to me, that's where Matt Stafford's going to stay. I don't know if he's going to be as down the field as what Marvin Jones believers are going to want, right? So, and not only that, but where Golden Tate's best is yards after the catch. So he was actually 7th in the league in that. So, you gotta look at that as well. So I don't know. I think that this is a little bit much ado about nothing, but I think Marvin Jones is a good sleeper, unless he boosts up everyone's draft boards because this guy said that he's going to be the wide receiver 1. So I'm a little worried about saying sleeper at this point. As far as the sleepers are concerned as well, Theo Riddick had the number 1 amount of receptions in the league, tied with Danny Woodhead at 80 last season. And then there's Zach Zenner, who's kind of the popular guy from South Dakota. And then there's Amir Abdullah, who everyone thinks is going to break out. This is why we have a preseason, so pay attention. And that person will be the sleeper. Eric Ebron, as I just said, I think he's going to help fill that Calvin Johnson-shaped hole that Detroit has. It's a very large hole. I'm not drafting Matthew Stafford, though, because I think he'll be on the waiver wire. Get used to not having Calvin Johnson, and he doesn't need to do that on your team.
So sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
Stafford without Megatron. It's just not right. It's just not right.
It's
Pittsburgh Steelers, Brandon.
Well, you draft Antonio Brown. We have number one forever, as far as I'm concerned. We've talked a lot about Le'Veon Bell and D'Angelo Williams. You guys all know our opinion at this point, which is that Le'Veon Bell is probably going to be a great talent once it comes back, but you need to have an insurance plan with D'Angelo Williams. Otherwise, just borderline don't bother. You got to get to the playoffs. So I kind of pair them together. Le'Veon Bell, we have ranked 8, and D'Angelo Williams 34. You may even stretch for D'Angelo Williams, frankly, if you are going to go that route. Sleepers are going to be Marcus Wheaton and Sammy Coates. We've also discussed this a lot. You know, they're both going to be vying for the wide receiver 2 position. There's a lot of buzz around Sammy Coates. He's shooting up the draft boards. We have him at 63, but he's going very close to the same time as Marcus Wheaton. So just keep your eye on that. Wheaton has more experience. Sammy Coates has the upside. I think it might be Marcus Wheaton, frankly, but
I feel like experience usually trumps upside when we come to this level of player.
Wheaton's not bad.
I don't think I'm saying I think Wheaton will be the guy because I think that
I'm just saying
even enough that I think Wheaton will get the majority of the playing time and he's got the experience, and I think Big Ben's already pretty comfortable with him. I think Sammy's really talented and he'll still get used, but if I had to choose, I think Wheaton is a better.
Sammy's ADP is going up, and Marcus is going down, down, down. So that's why I'm probably going to have more Marcus than Sammy. But I have some teams where I have both, just in case. If you're in a deep league, sure, why not? Don't draft as Ladarius Green. This guy, I don't know anything about him other than he was behind Antonio Gates in San Diego. They didn't think enough of him to keep him on, even though Antonio Gates is Father Time. They let him go. And now he's in Pittsburgh, and they didn't really use the tight end anyway. And Heath Miller was really close with Ben Roethlisberger. And, remember the year when Ben Roethlisberger said, I want him to go to the Pro Bowl, and he made it happen?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't feel that way about Ladarius Green. So I'm not quite sure it's going to happen. No offense. I just think that people are way too high on him.
Not my flavor. I thought he got injured as well. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm not into Ladarius either, Brandon. No, thank you.
Could you actually practice with the team before I have to pay attention to you? Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know why everyone thinks he's definitely a wide receiver or a tight end 1. So, I don't know.
Denver Broncos and Chicago Bears. The Broncos must draft Denver defense. That's easy. They have the 13th easiest schedule, too, which isn't too bad. Demaryius Thomas. We've said this before, but everybody's like, he had a down year, and yes, he only had 6 touchdowns, but he had 1,300 yards. So give the man a freaking break. The value is there. He's going in the 3rd round. Hello.
Love it.
Love it. Manuel Sanders, same thing. He's going in the 6th round. This is if you're in a 10-man PPR league, I mean, this is beautiful. He too had 6 touchdowns and 1,100 yards. I mean, I'm into it. The targets are there. I'm going to do it. C.J. Anderson, he's the back, you guys. I don't think there's any competition there. C.J. Anderson will be the workhorse, and I guess we're going to sign on. I wasn't signed on last year, and it was a complete mess. This year, we're just going to do it. You have to pay a little bit of a price for him in the 3rd round, but again, it's not that high. So, okay. And kickers matter, guys. Brandon McManus, that guy's got a boot on him. Saw him make a 65-yarder at practice the other day. It was awesome. Sleepers. Benny Fowler, we had
If you were Tucker, you'd make a, what did he say? Did you see Justin Tucker said he'd make an 84-yard field goal kick if he was a Broncos kicker?
Yeah. Probably would.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
please.
I'd like to see it if you come here to Denver, my friend, in a game.
Yeah.
Please let Tucker kick
Baltimore
his
will give him the
84-year.
chance. You know Baltimore will give him the
Yeah.
chance. They always do.
They like those outrageous kicks, so why
Yes,
not?
they
Yeah.
do.
Read your settings. If you lose points for missed kicks, Tucker is your least favorite kicker. Because they make him do those 60-yard kicks. It's bad.
Yeah.
On the reg. Yep.
Well, just like you know that you're going to be drafting those guys, the sleepers really are sleepers in Denver for sure. Virgil Green and Jeff Herman, both tight ends. It's going to be toss-up between the two of them. And although Kubiak is definitely a tight end coach, I don't think they're going to have enough to throw around to both of them. So it's going to be weird. I don't know. Virgil Green's much better at blocking. Jeff's supposedly going to be catching the ball, but I don't know. It's tough. That's really tough. But one of them is going to be decent in fantasy. I don't know who, but one of them. Devontae Booker, the rookie, he's like the 51st running back off the board. So, okay. Yeah. I think he's a great handcuff. He's picking up the plays fast. He looks good. He's super talented. He's going to be part of this scheme, but if CJ goes down, he's the guy. And don't draft Ronnie Hillman, unfortunately. That's not looking good for him being part of the offense. Oh, yeah, and the quarterbacks, any of them. Don't draft them. Thanks. Chicago Bears, must draft. All right, I'm getting ballsy here, guys. Kevin White, ADP 85, which is like 8th round. I really, really like him. I'm going for him. Guys, he was the 7th pick in the first round in the 2015 draft. Yes, he was out last year with injury, but he's going to see a lot of targets, and he could become the #1 receiver if Alshon Jeffrey is no more. They have the 7th easiest schedule for wide receivers in Chicago. Oh, yeah. He's my guy.
He could be the next Marvin Jones.
He could be the next. No, Golden Tate. This Golden Tate guy's amazing.
that hurt.
Jeremy Langford. He's a must. He's a must draft. He's good in PPR as well. 4th easiest schedule for Chicago. It's for sure deal. Sleepers for me, Zach Miller. I'm like back and forth with this guy. He's in concussion protocol right now. It's his 4th year he's been playing, and he's never played all 16 games. So there's that, you guys. So he does have injuries for sure. But Bennett is gone. They're going to target him. There's no question he's going to see the targets. And he was able to snatch 5 touchdowns last year with Bennett. So I'm okay. And Jay Cutler, I'm going to give him a sleeper, guys. 4th easiest schedule. And if all the players around him can stay healthy, at least the majority this year, I think that he's going to have a good year. He had one of his best years last year for himself. Granted, it wasn't the best out of other quarterbacks, but for him, it was good, and nobody was playing on his team. So I'm into it. Quarterback 2, of course, never your #1 guy.
So you're voting Jay Cutler as like comeback player of the year 2016?
Comeback up player of the year. I wouldn't start him like he's my backup, but I would feel good about having him on my backup. And don't draft, you guys. I am putting Alshon Jeffrey on the do not draft list. Listen, his ADP is way too high for the fact that he is so injured all the time. He has soft tissue issues, which is a huge problem. Stephania Bell just came out today and said the last few years she's stayed away from the do not draft list. This year she started back up. She's got 2 players, and one of them's Alshon Jeffrey based on injuries. His injuries are bad. Bad. So I'm not going to draft him. I suggest you don't draft him unless he like falls to you deep. But I'm not obviously that deep. He's not going to go that deep. But I would let somebody else have that headache and self. I know it's an easy schedule, but I just have no interest in a guy who's going to play for 5 games and be gone. And you don't even know what part of the season the 5 games are because he just got hurt again. So I'm done. Sorry, Alshon. I'm not on your train. San Diego Chargers, the Tennessee Titans.
Well, now you make me all nervous because we talk about Keenan Allen, also Mr. Injury. Was he on her list?
No. She didn't
Who's
give the
the
other person. She didn't give it. I'm guessing it's Foster, but she didn't say.
Could be. Little teaser she's pulling there to find out the next one. Well, Keenan Allen. I'm always nervous about Allen. I have apparently an unfavorable opinion about Keenan Allen. He is going 14th overall wide receiver off the board, 28th in general. So you're going to have to grab him at the end of the second into the third on the turn. I tend to stay away from him. I advise you as well, but most fantasy experts would not advise you to stay away from him, and so therefore I have put him in the must-draft category.
I love Keenan Allen.
I don't.
Him.
I know you like him, but for me it's the same situation. If I've got another guy one position below him who's got a healthier, track record, I'm going with that guy. I am. I'd almost, and I've said it before, Travis Benjamin I also have on my must draft, not in the conventional sense of this is a top, round guy, but he's the 51st wide receiver off the board. You can get him in the 13th round. Your draft is almost over. Why wouldn't you grab a starting wide receiver in the 13th round? I'm going to.
Stevie Johnson's now up for the season officially.
Exactly. Yeah. Johnson's out. So why wouldn't you grab him in the 13th round? To me, that is a must pick. If you are in the 13th, you are looking for Travis Benjamin. That is amazing value. Again, we're talking, San Francisco 49er crazy status of starting wide receivers that are going at the end of the draft / not being drafted. So for me, Travis Benjamin is a must draft. Phillip Rivers. Brandon's not high on him. I like him. I think they're going to make a little bit of sweet magic. And again, for where you get him, you can get him in the 10th round. If we're talking you're going for that low, late round quarterback, why not Phillip Rivers? Why not? He's got people to throw to. Like as we said, he's going to want to throw to Gates, who's another must-start in terms of your tight ends. He's going to have Travis Benjamin to throw to. He's going to have Keenan Allen to throw to. And they have James Jones, who's another potential sleeper that isn't even being drafted. That guy's going in the 22nd round overall. I don't think James Jones is going to be as big of a presence as everybody else because I do think that Travis Benjamin is a more explosive and talented player in this particular point in their careers. James Jones on the tail end of his career, and this isn't an AP situation where we're arguing with you that he's not dead. James Jones is dead. Not saying he's dead. I'm starting rumors here, but I would prefer Travis Benjamin. I think he's going to get more looks, and he's on the depth chart as the starting wide receiver, so let's treat him as such. My don't drafts, Melvin Gordon. I'm not saying he's a not draft. I'm just saying he's more of a cautionary tale. Only for the fact, but at the same time, actually, he's going in the 6th/7th round, and he's a starting running back, so it's not horrible.
Yeah. The value's there.
I would grab him as your flex. Why wouldn't you grab him? He's a starting running back. It's kind of those you never know. Rather than taking a Jerick McKinnon hoping AP goes down.
Their offensive line is so bad.
It's horrible. It really is bad.
It was ranked last by Pro Football Focus last year, and that is, in my opinion, what really held him back, because he was also a rookie, so he's trying to learn, and he's just getting his butt kicked behind the line of scrimmage.
Keeping the ball in his hands issues, too.
Yeah. But they've had another year with the bad line to try to figure some stuff out. I'm just saying, for where you can get him, flex isn't horrible. He's not a running back 1. He's not a running back 2 in my eyes, but he's an okay flex. So,
Titans.
Something to think about. Titans, Delaney Walker. We love Walker. You always draft Walker. You can give him in the 6th round.
Walker.
Love him. Why not? DeMarco Murray, I've got him as a must draft as well. He's going in the 4th to 5th round. Again, I don't view DeMarco Murray as a starting running back, and it's probably, again, unfavorable. I view him as a flex. So decide if you are willing to do that. And the reason I say I have him as a flex is because he is going to be, in theory, at some point sharing with Derrick Henry, who I have as a potential sleeper, who is going in the 9th/10th round. I do think DeMarco Murray is going to get the bulk of the carries, but I do think that Henry will come in for a little bit. So for me, I don't want to deal with this committee situation. I would rather look elsewhere. And to not draft the rest of them. Rashard Matthews got some potential, as historically the Tennessee Titans wideouts can't break into the top 25 receivers ever at all. It just doesn't happen. But he's going in the for the 74th wide receiver, and in the 24th round overall. So you could take a flyer on this guy, and no one's gonna hate you for that. At the very end of the draft, we're talking like you've got one pick left before your defense and your kicker. Rashard Matthews is at a horrible point.
Right before I took Cole Beasley.
Oof. There you go.
This Sirius XM league we're in, it's so deep, it's so crazy. It
is so crazy.
It's so bad. And it's been going on for like 3 weeks. I don't even know where we're at anymore. I get so confused. I don't even know. I don't know. I'm lost. New Orleans Saints to the New England Patriots.
Okay. Well, I will say that I really like the New Orleans Saints. I think that Mark Ingram is a must start for sure. We have him ranked number 10. Brandon Cooks must start for sure. We have him ranked number 5. That's a hint high, but I think he's going to be a top 20 guy, no problem. So he's definitely someone you want to start. And Drew Brees, until he throws under 4,000 yards and stops being the number 1 in passing yards on the season, he'll be on my fantasy team gladly. We have him ranked number 4. And in my opinion, after him, it's a pretty dark downward spiral for quarterbacks. And not really a big deal downward spiral, but just you have to pair them instead of like really believing. So Kobe Fleener, though, is really the guy that I wanted to say that, you really want to get him. They want to go back to passing to the tight end. And if you remember correctly, from 2011 to 2014, Jimmy Graham averaged 88.75 receptions, 1,099 yards, and 11.5 touchdowns. Do I think he'll do exactly those numbers? No. But I do think he's going to get in the realm of that area. And even though he had horrible drops, like they made memes and GIFs and everything else out of his horrible drops, he's actually considered quite a good pass-catching tight end. And they did not hire him to block. So awesome. The problem is we have him ranked number 6, and so does everybody else. So it's not a sleeper situation, but it is a due draft situation. So congrats. You're going to have to pay up. As far as sleepers are concerned, Willie Snead and Michael Thomas. So Mike Thomas is a rookie wide receiver who's had a great camp, and everyone is really high on him. But I still think Willie Snead is going to be sneaking in there. But don't
get him
New
confused
Orleans
with the Michael Thomas who was also a rookie wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams.
Correct.
2 different people.
2 very different people in very different circumstances.
Yes.
The problem is that with the New Orleans Saints, as we all know, they like to spread the ball around traditionally. It was one of those things that Marcus Colston always ended the season with a ton of yards, but you always said win if you owned him, right? You were like, what? He was. Yeah. I hated playing this guy. I'm a little afraid that both of them will be that way. Very hit and miss. So
it's a little too committee for me.
But if you're in a deeper league where you have flex positions that you need to fill, they're perfect. CJ Spiller, do not draft. Do not draft. It's actually rumored that he may not even have a spot on the roster, and he hasn't gone for over 425 all-purpose yards since 2013. The New England Patriots, I am low on pretty much everyone who's not named Rob Gronkowski or Julian Edelman. Good news, Julian Edelman came back. He was healthy. He ran around. He got hurt again with his foot. Ends up that was just a false alarm. He's fine. So no worries. But hopefully they just let him continue getting healthy over the preseason because I don't need to see Julian Edelman play. I know he's the number 1 wide receiver.
That's not a question.
Yeah, so we have him ranked number 19, but he's going very late in drafts. In an auction that I just did, he was the same price as Sterling Shepard.
I think it's the Jimmy Garoppolo effect.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's still Julian Edelman. I'm with you. But what I'm saying is he's such a value. He's like Demaryius Thomas, where you get almost angry. You're like, what?
I'm not going to get on these hypes when I'm ranking the wide receivers. I'm just not going to do it. I'm sorry. Like, there's just has to be limits.
Especially if you're in a PPR league. Stop yourself. You're getting crazy. Sleepers, I guess, is Deion Lewis because of the whole injury situation. We're going to have to go a little sight unseen, I think. So I'm nervous. Hint sleeper. It's both. And then LeGarrette Blount. I'm sorry. You know that Bill Belichick likes to screw with us.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to need to run the ball with Jimmy Garoppolo in for 4 games. Which,
they
by the way, he is
they're going to increase Blount's workload. So when I ranked the wide receiver, the running backs, I dropped Deion Lewis quite low compared to our friends and family out there in the fantasy world, but he's hurt, and Blunt is going to get the bulk of the workload, which has been confirmed. And yes, it is Belichick. But why is everyone so high on Deion Lewis? He is one of these
catches the
hyper
balls.
Small sample size, but he does catch the ball.
He catches the ball. That's why people
Absolutely. Like just like Shane Vereen did here and there, just like we had a Jonas Gray phenomenon.
CJ Spiller.
I mean, like, get over yourselves. Let's stop this craziness.
I agree.
You're going to choose when you're choosing Blunt, right? I don't think it's even a question.
Well, you can get Blunt at the end of your draft.
Yeah.
I literally just
Who's
got
the starting running back?
Round. Yeah, I mean, come on now. So value is there. I'm neutral on Chris Hogan and Malcolm Mitchell right now. I know there's some buzz around them. Again, my problem is Tom Brady's not there for 4 games, and they have a horrible schedule. Horrible schedule. It is the absolute hardest. They don't even have the one that they need for 4 of the games. And don't draft Tom Brady, as I've said before. Again, 4 games he's out. He has a bye week, a horrible schedule, and in the playoffs he plays against the Denver Broncos. No, thank you. And also Martellus Bennett. So supposedly all these people are sleepers, and yet again, I'm going to repeat it, 4 games without Tom Brady, horrible schedule. There are not enough targets to go around for everyone, and I think this 2 tight end set is going to be a fun experiment some games, but not consistent enough to be where he's going off the boards. We have him ranked number 17, and we are extremely low on him.
Low. Carolina Panthers at the Baltimore Ravens. Panthers obviously must draft Cam Newton. He's the first quarterback off the board, so you're going to have to pay for him at the top of the 3rd round, and you should have to pay for him. Calvin Benjamin, I think this could be one of the best value picks out there. He is the 16th wide receiver off the board, and I think that he's going to be top 10 wide receiver. Everything coming out of camp says he looks fantastic. He's got his groove back. He's a lot smarter than he was in the rookie season. You know, he's had time to really understand the plays, and he's catching everything. I love that. This wide receiver by committee BS that was coming out early, I knew it was BS. I'm not into it. Calvin Benjamin, I think, is a great value pick. Greg Olsen, of course. Hello. 3rd tight end off the board. You're going to have to take him late in the 4th round. Sorry, but he has the 4th easiest schedule. On our Sirius XM show, Brandon asked questions about the tight end, and we were all like, we're taking Greg Olsen. We're taking Greg Olsen. I mean, it's money. It's just money. Can't help it. He's 6'5", 255 pounds, and he did not need to shed weight before training camp. He's just a big, solid man, beast, and I'm into him. Just as fantasy football, I need to control myself right now. Jonathan Stewart, he isn't technically a sleeper, but the value is there. If you were not in a PPR league, I like Stewart, where you can get him. So that's why I say he is a must draft, because where you get him is great value for him. He's the 8th running back off in fantasy points last year, but he's the 24th running back off the board. Yes, he has injury problems. Sure, he hasn't played 16 games since 2011. Fine. But he feels 100%. There's other people around him to support him. He's not going to be running the ball constantly. We have Benjamin back. That'll, relieve some of the stress off of him. He has the 5th easiest schedule. I mean, hello.
I'm high on him, too. I agree.
I'm high on him. Sorry, where are you?
Well, compared to other people.
Right, yeah. Obviously, Carolina's defense you're going to draft, and Graham Gano is the 2nd kicker coming off the board. For sleepers, Devin Funchess, his ADP is 144. He's a sophomore wide receiver. There's that sophomore slump that can be interesting, but I think he can be the next Eric Decker. I think in the fact, listen, I think with Benjamin back, I think that Funchess is going to fall into his role as wide receiver too. I think it was too much pressure on him for such a young guy to become that wide receiver 1. And some guys just aren't meant to be it. Not that Funchess necessarily was the number 1 guy. They kind of alternated a lot. But I think that he has the ability to be dynamite under Benjamin. And Ted Ginn Jr., I don't have him written up here, but he's barely being drafted. And, again, value. Value. This is a very dynamic offense, and if you were in deep leagues, I think you should take him. Who I'm not drafting is Cameron Artis-Payne. Not that he won't get more time this year. He will. But he's going to lose touchdowns to Tolbert, you guys. So he's just not a good enough handcuff for me to draft him behind Stewart. I will take a handcuff somewhere else. For the Baltimore Ravens, must draft Justin Tucker, the kicker. That's all. Sleepers. This team is all about value. Value. No true must drafts in the sense. Justin Forsett's ADP is 83, 34th running back off the board. He got injured last year, but who didn't on this team? This team was a disaster last year with injuries. But he's got some competition this year, but it seems like the coaches really like him and say he looks fantastic like he did in 2014. So, the value's there. If you're willing to take a risk on Baltimore, there's Justin Forsett. Mike Wallace. He really fits well in this offense, especially with Steve Smith and Rashad Perriman. Iffy and whatever with their injuries, you never know. So Mike Wallace, he's fine. He passed his physical. It's okay. We're good to go. And Steve Smith Sr., in just 7 games, Smith had 670 yards and 3 touchdowns. If you draft him, you know you're going to have him for a limited amount of time. It's going to be a sentimental pick. I get it. That's where you are with Steve Smith. Those are okay sometimes. Just make sure you don't reach for them. And I have to say, don't draft, even though you can get Rashad Perriman for nothing. Unless you're in a dynasty league, I'm not going to draft him. He was out all season last year with the PCL tear, and now he suffered a partial torn ACL in June. Some part of me just feels like this man is not meant to be running, and that's a problem for a wide receiver. So I'm out. Cleveland Browns, the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, yeah. This is obviously really stunning. I don't want to be a jerk, but RG3 was named the starter this week. It's a little I feel it's
not unexpected. We knew this was coming.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Gary Barnidge suffered a sports hernia surgery issue, but he says he's feeling great now. He should be fine. I still think he's the #1 target on this team. However, one of my sleepers that I feel very passionately about is Corey Coleman, who has been looking fantastic at camp. He got 20 touchdowns at Baylor last year. 2-0. I was like, what? In one season?
Yeah.
What? That's very impressive. And he's a very athletic person. A lot of people say that he's the next Steve Smith Sr., if you will. And to me, that's music to my ears. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, sign me up.
People just need to keep talking about Josh Gordon so that Corey Coleman's value just keeps dropping and dropping. And
Absolutely.
You can snatch him up and just love your life for the rest of the year.
Well, and let's talk for a second about Josh Gordon. So we have him ranked 39. All of the drafts that I'm going, he's going very early.
Yeah.
3rd, 4th round. I don't want anything to do with Josh Gordon in the 3rd or 4th round. Because, A, he's not going to play for the first 4 games. That's determined already. End of discussion. Now, when he comes back, ironically, it'll be the same game that Tom Brady comes back, which is just the way to get people to watch the Browns. But, yeah, so he'll come back and maybe he'll do something interesting. But the fact that he keeps getting injured in camp, and the coaches even said he's not in football shape, straight up. It's not good.
I don't think we expected him to be, yeah.
Well, but the people that are drafting him in the 3rd or 4th round should be expecting that of the person they're drafting. And if you can't do it, don't do that. That's my thing. I got Josh Gordon as a flyer before he was reinstated in a couple leagues. I feel great about that. If you already did that, fine. That ship has sailed. Now,
it's
he's
done.
a don't draft, including RG3. And then the other thing is the running back situation. We've discussed this numerous times. Duke Johnson for sure. Isaiah Crowell's a sleeper, but you're probably not depending on him, but that's fine because you can get him late. I mean, this team, we're hoping Hugh Jackson helps out, but the preseason is going to have a lot to do with that.
The Packers, draft them all. Draft them all. If you're going to take a quarterback early and maybe Cam Newton's just a little too rich for your blood, well, 4 picks later, you can get Aaron Rodgers. What a deal! What a deal!
What a deal!
But honestly, like, he has a really easy schedule, Rodgers does this year, so that's fabulous. Jordy Nelson, great, taking him. Randall Cobb, great. He's back to his wide receiver 2 position where he should be.
You're not worried about Nelson's injury?
No.
Yeah, I am.
Good.
I
No.
am slightly worried about that, but sometimes you do have to just take the risk over, the potential. It's just like a Le'Veon Bell. Like, of course he could get injured again, but you're going to still take him high because what he gives you when you get him, it's worth it, right? Hopefully you can pick up a wide receiver that becomes, it's why sleepers are so important. You can pick up a wide receiver that becomes the number 1 guy and very productive, like a Corey Coleman. Eddie Lacy, he looks good. He's thin. He's having a great practices. We're going to cross our fingers that he doesn't completely implode. And, of course, Mason Crosby. Sleepers, Green Bay defense, you guys. They have the 11th easiest schedule. They're the 16th defense off the board. So most people only take 1 defense. You won't even have to draft them. Keep an eye on them, though, because they are the perfect matchup people. James Starks is a fabulous handcuff. I enjoy him greatly. And for my don't drafts, I have Jared Cook and Richard Rodgers. Brandon may disagree, but they will be splitting receptions, and now that Nelson is back, the touchdowns are gone, people, for them. Like, there'll be a few, but not nearly as much as there was last year for Rodgers. And now they're going to be splitting it. I am not in on Cook, so if I'm going to take one over the other, it's definitely Rodgers. Minnesota Vikings at the Cincinnati Bengals.
There's only one must draft, and that is Teddy Bridgewater.
Clearly.
Get it. AP, second best last year, obviously. The guy had almost 1,500 yards, 1,485 to be exact, 11 touchdowns. He's still in fine shape. He's looking fine in camp. They're doing the usual, not really playing him. Don't let that freak you out. This is what AP has done since the beginning of time. No reason to freak out. We are drafting AP. Sleepers. If I had to draft today, I am not sure I would draft any of the wideouts that I'm going to talk about, unless you're in a dynasty league, and then I would draft Laquan Treadwell, who is going in the 12th round right now as a rookie. I'm okay with that. 12 is
I think that's kind of a bargain.
I think that's,
he could be the wide receiver 1.
He could be, but he
great
right now
for
he's
Minnesota
got.
Vikings.
Woo! Fine.
So, but
I just have some party.
right now he is being quote unquote eased into first string offense and first string reps. But like Brandon said, who knows how long that will actually be? He could be a starting wide receiver by midseason. He's a rookie. Maybe the easing him in will go quickly. Maybe it won't. But as of right now, the people in front of him are Charles Johnson, who doesn't even have an ADP at all, literally not ranked overall, and Stephon Diggs, who is going in the 10th, 11th round. They're both again
Diggs looks good too. He looks good in practice.
It does look good.
Yeah.
If Laquan Treadwell's going to bump one out, he's going to bump Charles Johnson out. And Stephon Diggs will be the one that will still stay. But both Charles Johnson and Stephon Diggs did show flashes of intrigue last year. But overall, this offense has a really hard time establishing rhythm in the air. So to me, this leaves them all to be fairly somewhat undesirable. But again, I do think in the 11th, 12th round, that's not bad value. So something to think about.
I'd rather take the 4th wide receiver for Green Bay than the number 1 wide receiver for Minnesota.
Bold.
Sorry, Ashley.
It is bold. But, I mean, if I had to compare, I'd rather take Travis Benjamin.
Oh, yeah.
I'd probably rather take Bruce Ellington or Torrey Smith. I mean, that's what you have to compare yourself to.
Sure.
But we're going to know more in preseason. Laquan Treadwell, this is a great example of preseason. We will know a lot more in the weeks coming up here about what's actually going to be going on with Laquan Treadwell. This is purely if you had a draft tomorrow what we're talking about. We'll know more in a few weeks.
Or Dynasty.
We'll update you on that. Or Dynasty. But anyway, my don't drafts, Jerick McKinnon. I'm not saying don't draft, but he falls for me somewhere in the potential of a sleeper / don't draft, and the fact that, again, we're gonna find out a lot more. I do think he's going to be utilized, but is he worth being on your roster? If you've got AP, yeah, why not get Jerick McKinnon? You can get him in the 16th/17th round. Lock it up. Get Jerick McKinnon. He's the handicap if you're going to do it. But don't expect a whole lot out of him. He's basically going to ride your bench unless there's an injury or you got a really funky week. So that's the thing with McKinnon. If we're going to go to Cincinnati Bengals here, our must-drafts are A.J. Green. That is an obvious. 6 wide receiver off the board. Jeremy Hill. He was the 14th highest scoring running back last year. I want to give a little comparison here between Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill. He had 794 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns, but only 79 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. Whereas Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill is going in the 4th/5th round. Giovanni Bernard is going in the 8th round, so he's a lot cheaper. He had almost the same amount of rushing at 730, but it's the touchdowns that will get you. He only had 2 rushing touchdowns compared to the 11 of Jeremy Hill. Yardage is the same, touchdowns is the problem, but he had 472 receiving yards compared to the only 79 of Jeremy Hill. So they're actually fairly comparable. Now, granted, Giovanni Bernard is the 21st highest scoring compared to the 14th, but for the value, I don't have a problem if you're going to shoot for Giovanni Bernard over Jeremy Hill and you choose somebody else because the yardage is similar enough, your output is similar enough. If you had 1 touchdown difference, they're virtually identical players. 1 differential of touchdown.
League.
PPR league, you got to go Bernard. So keep that in mind because, again, yes, Jeremy Hill is the top one, but this is the one committee I don't have a problem with in the NFL because this offense has really solidified a place for both of them. So for me,
thank God, it's the best. It's the most successful running back by committee ever.
It really is. It really is. My don't draft is Tyler Eifert. He's on the PUP list due to an ankle injury for surgery he had earlier in the year. They thought he might be ready to come back by now, but he is still out and allegedly might take another couple months to get ready due to the nature of the injury. If it had been surgery on the outside versus the inside of the ankle, would have reduced it by 2 months. So this puts us at the end of September for Tyler Eifert to come back at the earliest. That makes me a little bit nervous. And because of that, my sleeper is Brandon LaFell, who I've gone back and forth on, I feel like, every other show. But with Tyler Eifert out, who was a touchdown vulture, you're still going to get your 50% drop rate with Brandon LaFell. This will still happen. But I do think he's got potential to snag some touchdowns, and that is where he's going to make up for it because of the Tyler Eifert situation being out. Martin, no. Don't you do that. But
Tyler Boyd.
I think Boyd will play a factor too, but I do think LaFell will be in the mix.
He's barely being
and
drafted.
He's so cheap. He's 281 overall. Yeah. Pick him up as you need him. You don't have to draft him because he's not being drafted, but I do think there's sleeper potential here because of the Eifert injury.
Yes. Indianapolis Colts to the Buffalo Bills. Brandon, the Colts. The Colts.
Well, I'm getting all choked up because emotionally I'm very torn about this team. T.Y. Hilton supposedly has come into camp looking great, doing everything. Amazing. Same with Dante Moncrief. Coming into camp, looking great, doing everything. Amazing. Must starts, definitely. Frank Gore supposedly has come in, looking really good. And you know what this guy always does? Gets over 1,000 rushing yards.
He does.
I mean, it's like another one of those guys you say, really? At the end of the year? Really? But he does. Every year. And if you have to do something behind him, this Josh Ferguson kid, everyone's talking about him. I'm really worried he's going to blow up in the preseason and have like an Amir Abdullah play where he runs all the way down the field and then everyone's going to overdraft him. But he is someone to keep your eye on for sure. Well, here's my problem, though. Andrew Luck didn't come into camp looking perfect like everyone else. And he was really bad last year. He was really bad.
Yeah.
So I'm a little confused. I really need to see the preseason, which is also why I don't want to put Philip Dorsett and Dwayne Allen on my do not draft list, but I need to see Andrew Luck before I can really fully invest. And specifically Philip Dorsett. He's definitely the number 3 wide receiver. But, Dwayne Allen is such a good blocker. He'll definitely be on the field. I don't know about fantasy yet. So keep your eyes peeled definitely for this game.
I am down and out on Philip Dorsett.
Down and out.
I'm down and out. I want no part of it.
Bye, Felicia. Buffalo Bills must draft Sammy Watkins. He's off the PUP list. He's definitely injury prone, but when he's on the field, he's gold. You just got to know what you're getting yourself into. It's scary, but it's awesome all at the same time.
Sammy Watkins.
Sammy Watkins. It's my daughter's favorite fantasy guy. So they have Watkins jerseys. They have a Watkins dance. They're in the back playing. They hear Sammy Watkins on the TV. They run out and they just start doing their dance and assuming he got a touchdown. Which you can mostly assume. Yeah. LaShawn McCoy. I really like him, guys. They have a very tough schedule. But the best thing about McCoy is that there is nobody around him this year. Carlos Williams is suspended for smoking, I'm guessing.
Ganja.
Yes, yeah, the ganja. Sitting on his bottom, eating the bonbons, supporting his pregnant fiance. That's what he's been doing this offseason.
Right.
Good for him. He's been relaxing.
Right.
He is
Sounds like a nice life.
Caring about the fact that he is an NFL running back at all. But you know what? That's okay because it's good for McCoy owners for sure. But overall, guys, this is a really tough schedule for the Bills. I do like Robert Woods. I think he has the potential, and especially with Sammy being, injury prone, I think that he's a good, very late round pick. And if we don't draft this Reggie Bush madness coming into Buffalo,
love it.
Stop it. He's going to be on special teams. He will occasionally be used in the running game, but listen. He's had less than 50 total yards the last year in the last 5 games he played. He played 5 games last year, and he had less than 50 yards. I don't want somebody like that.
He'll be the kick return guy?
That's what they're saying. Special teams.
All right, guys, look at your settings, though. Look at your settings and see where that player falls in.
I don't think he has what he used to have.
I agree, but I'm just saying sometimes there's weird games or things like crazy DFS things where you can get someone for literally they pay you to pick him up style. Yeah. There's some crazy settings in your defense. So I'm just saying because this is true for other wide receivers or running backs. Know your settings because sometimes in certain settings, if you are the return guy and you score a touchdown, that goes to the defense, not to your player. In other cases, it goes to the player and not your defense. So just know that because it does give certain players a little extra, little cherry on top of value.
Also, Buffalo Bills just lost one of their best defensive players. I'm not saying don't draft them, but you definitely need to keep an eye on their way that they're working together in this preseason because it might become a problem. Again, tough schedule. Jacksonville Jaguars, the New York Jets, the Jags. We've always said we have a soft spot for these guys. So I'm just going to go into it. Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns, to me, are must drafts, but it's got to be for the right price. Mm-hmm. Blake Bortles, I also have him as a must draft. Listen, everybody is really down on this offense since the defense is much improved this year. But the 5 top quarterbacks last year all had great defenses. Newton, Brady, Wilson, Bortles, Palmer. They're all Bortles obviously wasn't, but he is now. They're all on great defenses, so it doesn't necessarily have to affect your quarterback. Agreed. So everybody's down on Bortles. Take advantage of it. Get him. I'm not so in love with this offense. I'm not so in love with Bortles, but the value for Bortles to me is the best pick of the 3.
Yeah.
Allen Hurns in the 6th round I think is totally legit too. I think it's fine. Sleepers, Jacksonville's defense. Again, it's the 3rd easiest schedule for that defense. So they're the 12th defense on the board. So if you're in 12-man league, you have to drop them. But if you're not, you might take them over somebody else like the Buffalo Bills, possibly. I am not drafting Chris Ivory or TJ Yeldon. They say the carries are going to be split 55-45 with Ivory on top. I don't think it's going to necessarily stay that way the whole season, but I'm just not in love with this running back by committee. I think Bortles is going to throw more than people think he's going to. I'm holding on this Julius Thomas. I can't decide whether I like him or not. I know he had a really bad season last year. He has never played all 16 games in the NFL. But for some reason, I'm very optimistic about him. I don't know what it is, but
Me
Just
too.
there for him. Yeah. The New York Jets, Ashley.
Well, this one's going to be really quick because the Jets are just very simple in the fact that Brandon Marshall, you're drafting him. Eric Decker, this is a no-brainer. Matt Forte, I am jazzed for Matt Forte this year. I know some are not. I think it's going to be great. I'm really excited for this entire team. And he's also in my must-draft category. But for my sleeper, Bilal Powell. Everyone who's played fantasy long enough has these certain little gems, these little jewels that you are able to pick up that have come in and substantially helped you in some weeks because you know they're going to be dependent upon for the passing game and like the theoretics for me last year, Bilal Powell. These are guys that you can get in the 13th, 14th round that you can definitely count on in some flex positions. Absolutely. So for me, I feel comfortable with him in that 14th round. You should feel comfortable with him as well. And in my don't draft any of the tight ends. You've got Kellen Davis, not ranked on ADP, and Jason Morrow. I think Forte kind of ruins it for them. You've got an established enough Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's not going to need to do the dump off. And if he does want to do the dump off, you're going to dump off to the dump off man, the god of it all, Matt Forte. So why would you dump off to Kellen Davis and Jason Morrow? You're not going to. So for me, Matt Forte completely ruins it for the Tens. So you're not drafting any of them.
Miami
and you have better
Dolphins.
quarterback options than Fitzy.
The Jets thought they did.
Oh.
Miami Dolphins at the New York Giants. The Dolphins. Obviously, we're drafting Jarvis Landry. It's a tough schedule for all the wide receivers, just so you know. But Ryan Tannehill has Peyton Manning, so we're okay, right? No?
No. Always Adam Gase, the savior.
Oh, yeah. Adam
He's
Gase,
going to come
yeah.
make Tannehill into Manning, right?
Right. It's possible, right?
Ew.
Arian Foster, another one of these picks that you just know you're picking him and he's going to get hurt. But what you're going to get out of him when you have him is going to be great. So I'm okay with you drafting him. Totally fine. His ADP is only going to rise. So I always like late drafts, but in this instance,
Yeah.
sooner the better. And listen, I personally don't like Jay Ajayi. I think I've made that pretty clear. The man doesn't have a kneecap. But he is listed as the starter in Miami, and you can get him in the 8th round. So the value is there. Foster will eventually die, so Jay will be there. JJ might die too, so they're okay. He's okay to take. Devontae Parker, he is back to practice after sitting over a week with a hamstring injury right after he recovered from a foot injury. These might be one of these like overrated dudes, right? This could be an overrated guy.
He is.
He is playing for Miami, and Tannehill's throwing him the ball. But maybe this isn't a pattern.
I'm not sure there's a might.
Maybe this isn't a pattern. He should see more targets now that Matthews is in Tennessee. I don't know. That's the best I got. I'm iffy with him. No sleepers, no don't draft. Everybody's a don't draft, other than the people I know.
What about Jordan Cameron? I'm just kidding.
Cameron Jordan? Who?
The disrespect name game that Courtney plays with us.
No,
Nice.
yeah, that's not funny. Giants, Ashley.
Eli Manning, I think he's going to have a good season. He's not going to fall in your top 25, but I think he's going to have a decent enough season. He was in the top 10 last year. At the very end, they're rounding out 10, but you can get him in the 8th to 9th round, so that's good value. That's kind of one of those guys that you target and stack up on your receivers and your running backs. Maybe grab yourself a Greg Olsen in the mix, and then you go for your quarterbacks. That's Eli. If you're one of those drafters, and Eli's the kind of guy that you're looking for. Obviously, Odell Beckham Jr., we're drafting him, but unless you're in the first or second position in the entire draft, you're not getting OBJ. So just accept it and move on. He's not going to fall to you. You have to take him 1 or 2 overall. So that's that on him. Now, my sleeper is Rashad Jennings, and I am a little baffled on the Jennings hate. You can get him in the in the 10th. And here's the thing that's really interesting to me is that I understand they've had a lot of running backs and all that kind of stuff, but he finished in the top 20 last season. And when you were watching, you were thinking, wow, he had a really bad season. They weren't able to establish any sort of run. The Giants overall were a bit of a mess, which I'm not going to dispute with you, but overall, he finished in the top 20 of running backs. He is an RB2. There's no way around that. And if you look at the last 4 weeks of the season, he carried the ball 79 times. He was getting that workload, which was everybody was concerned about. And I got a different coach, a different offense right now. But he's already won the position out in terms of being the starting running back. They've already established that he's going to be their go-to guy. And he had 432 yards with 5.5 yards per carry his last 4 games. This guy's not dead. He's still able to play. He's established himself as a starting running back, and he was a top RB2, not top RB2, but he was in the RB1 or RB2 category last year. Why are we hating on this guy so much?
Because there's so many running backs on the damn team, Ashley.
But they've been cutting. They've been cutting with camp. So I think we're going to see this drop down, but he's still their guy. And you know what? Let him hate, because you can get this guy, again, a starter in the 10th round. I'm fine with that. I'm cautious on don't drafts. We're very cautious on drafting Sterling Shepard and Victor Cruz, because we really need to see preseason to actually see how that's going to flush out in the depth chart.
I want Victor Cruz to come back, but I'm so sad. I'm afraid he's done. Oakland Raiders at the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, Amari Cooper is a must draft, but you have to take him in the 2nd round. Meanwhile, you can get Michael Crabtree in the 8th. So that's a conundrum, but I still believe in Amari Cooper's talent, and I still think the team does as well. Speaking of the team believing in talent, Clive Walford was a 2nd-round pick. They believe in him. And over 75% of his stats actually happened in the last 8 games of the season. He was a rookie last year. Rookie tight ends never do anything. The only rookie tight end to ever go over 600 yards since 2007 was John Carlson of the Seattle Seahawks. Eesh. Now,
we know how that turned out.
Rob Gronkowski got a lot of touchdowns, but still, it's classic. So I think that he might actually get a bump his sophomore year, which is exciting. So he's on my list of sleepers. And then, I can't decide about this Latavius Murray, DeAndre Washington situation. That is definitely something I want to see through preseason. I still think it's going to be Murray.
Yeah.
But if Washington breaks one.
You have Washington ranked at 10?
No.
Okay.
I must have put that as something else. I don't do the running backs. No, sorry.
I must have missed some news.
I bet it's 40. I bet it's the number above. But yeah. And so no. And then I have the don't draft for Derek Carr. I'll tell you why. It's a tough. It's a weird schedule, and on top of that, he's getting so much hype. And I think actually him at New Orleans week 1 is just bait. Like, something's going to go wrong. Every time we say to start people against New Orleans, it doesn't work out. I don't know. I'm worried about it. It could just be me.
Sad.
And
Brandon.
Yeah. Arizona. Then the Arizona Cardinals. There we go. So this is actually a very clear team for me. You definitely want to draft David Johnson. We have him ranked number 2. Clearly. I'm very high on Carson Palmer. I have him at number 6. Mostly because he has so many weapons. It's like, how do you deny the weapons that he has around him? So I love
consistent. So consistent.
As long as he can stay
alive. Yeah.
Stay alive, Carson. You can do this. By the way, my husband's name is Carson, so whenever I say Carson Palmer, I speak to Carson. It's very weird for me. Stay alive, Carson. I say that every night. Arizona. I think so. We have Arizona defense ranked number 5. I think Arizona defense might be number 1. Why? Because they play St. Louis twice and San Francisco Chip Kelly's twice. That's 4 games they're must start.
Yeah.
We're just starting with that. That's the baseline. So yeah.
Gurley is a team on his own, you guys. But forget that Gurley's gonna run all over them, and he's gonna get touchdowns, and he's the man. He can do it.
Yeah, but Gurley's going to get 2 touchdowns a game generally max, right? And 2 touchdowns a game isn't going to kill the defense entirely.
It will be a defensive
And then
game.
Case Keenum's going to throw 2 interceptions.
Turnovers. That's right.
Yeah.
They'll make it back on the interceptions.
And
a sack.
Tavon Austin or someone will fumble. I mean, we're talking about. I agree with you about Todd Gurley, but I don't think he's going to make up enough for me not to start the defense going up against him.
All right.
Yeah.
But the sleepers aren't really sleepers. But I just want to say that there's the Michael Floyd, Larry Fitzgerald, John Brown sandwich that's happening, and I think all 3 of them are going to be really good players. Luckily, that we have them ranked between 26 and 32.
Like I did that?
Yeah.
Happy little family.
You're looking at them being your wide receiver 3-ish.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of risk.
2 to 3 depending on the bye, but
Yeah. So, I just would say watch that. And also, J.J. Nelson is someone that if you're going really, really deep in your league, see someone to keep an eye out for. And I didn't even rank a Cardinal tight end, so that's a do not start.
Bam. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mike Evans. I just feel like the hate's going to happen this season. I'm okay with that. He was the 26th highest scoring wide receiver last year. He's going as the 12th off the board for wide receivers and 24th overall. That is too rich for me. I can't do it. To me, he's a given in terms of, yes, you're going to draft him, but to me, he's not a given wide receiver 1.
Nope.
So
Oh, really?
I don't think
he
so.
is.
I think he's a high-end wide receiver 2.
Wow.
This is where I'm saying I feel the hate. I don't know if it's just like it's brewing inside me.
Listen, you can't watch his games. You just can't watch his games.
Don't watch.
He gets you the
opportunities.
fantasy points.
Yeah.
But he was the 26th highest scoring wide receiver. He technically fell out of wide receiver 2 rankings last year. He fell into a flex ranking based off statistics last year. He was not a wide receiver 1. He was not a wide receiver 2.
In standard
He was a
things.
high-end wide
Yeah.
receiver 3.
In
Now,
standard,
granted, you're going to say, yeah, he had Jamarcus Russell, yada, yada, yada. I understand that. And yes, PPR is a different situation because he gets targeted an insane amount. But
You mean
just-
Jameis Winston, not Jamarcus Russell, right?
yeah, sorry, did I say Jamarcus Russell? I said James Winston.
Yeah, that was a throwback. Wow.
Yeah, that was good.
My hatred fueled right now. Here's my situation: is that you can say he had Jameis Winston as his quarterback, but guess what? He's got Jameis Winston as quarterback again this year. Yes, they've been working on their chemistry. Yes, they've been doing all this stuff outside of camp and in camp. I'm just a little bit nervous. For me, I just think 24th might be a little too rich for me, personally. And I think that should be your feeling for you as well. Doug Martin, he's going as the 9th off the board for running backs. Okay with that. I think that's fine. Possible sleepers, I would say Vincent Jackson, but I don't feel good about it because, again, rough offense. Cameron Brate's going to be their tight end. I don't think he's much of a sleeper either. Charles Sims, though, is a guy that I do like. I think he's a good guy to stash away on your bench because if you look at last year, he had 529 rushing yards, but he had 561 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. And this is all while Doug Martin finally had a resurgence year and was still the 3rd highest scoring running back. So there is clearly enough touches and time to go around for both of them that I think it's worth it. And we don't draft anybody else.
Nobody else.
Nope.
Philadelphia Eagles. Zach Ertz, I guess. Must draft. I don't know. That's what the word on around town is. I put him in must starts because I'm really depressed looking at this team overall. I can't decide if I'm depressed looking at him or I'm like, yay, I only have to talk about one person for the whole season. It's back and forth. But Ertz should see more targets this season. 75 receptions, 853 yards last year with 2 touchdowns, but he has the 10th easiest schedules. That is good. Jordan Matthews, he isn't a sleeper. I have him under my sleeper category, but he isn't. He recently bruised his knee, which will make him sidelined for up to 4 weeks. People may let him drop a little bit lower in the ADPs, where you can get really good value. Now, yes, it's an injury and it's scary and blah, 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 but they have nobody else on this team. Now, everybody's worried about the new offensive guy. It doesn't matter. They have nobody else on this team, And
I want all the
therefore,
Ryan Matthews stock.
you're going to take all the Ryan Matthews stock?
No, you are investing in
Yeah.
Ryan Matthews?
Good
I
for you.
believe
We're
in
not.
Doug Peterson running the ball.
Brandon.
I'm going to get
Brandon.
Kenjon Barner and Wendell Smallwood. I'm just going to eat it. All of
I'm
it.
just go double,
I
triple,
get that.
quadruple down on it.
I get that they want to run the ball, but they don't have any running backs, so that's fine. They can run the ball as much as they want, but I'm not buying into this running back system.
I like it.
Oh, I shouldn't say that. The system is fine. The players are not. So
Hot takes.
I'm not buying. You buy that, Brandon, all you want. Washington Redskins
you
and the
enjoy.
Atlanta Falcons.
All right, so the must-starts are definitely Jordan Reed, even though the injury history, and Kirk Cousins, who had the #1 completion percentage in the league last year. If you're looking at adjusting it for the drops and or throwing it out of bounds or what have you, he had the second most, or the second highest percentage, but that was just behind Teddy Bridgewater, and you don't want Teddy Bridgewater. So he's accurate, and he has a good offense. Sleepers, Deshaun Jackson for the first time ever is a sleeper.
So
we have him
crazy.
ranked 33, and we're high on him.
Yep.
That's nuts. You guys,
I'm into
Deshaun
him.
Jackson, if he's healthy, is quarterback proof. He's like the DeAndre Hopkins of yore, but he's now still.
Quarterback growth.
I don't understand. Well, meaning that like he can have a terrible quarterback and he still gets yards.
But Kirk Cousins is not terrible.
No.
Right,
But if you
right.
were concerned, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
He just does his own thing. And Matt Jones is a guy that we just have to say his name, but he's a starter, so it is what it is. I'm going to say on the do not draft list, though, Josh Doxson, who I love as a rookie wide receiver, but he is injured. It's not good. It's an Achilles injury.
No.
He hasn't been able to practice. It's, for this year, I'm not thinking about it. Dynasty, sure. This year, no go. As far as the Atlanta Falcons are concerned, Devontae Freeman, in my opinion, is the next Matt Forte. You heard me. You
Did not like Freeman. When all of a sudden you jump on the Freeman train?
No,
likes
I
Freeman.
liked Freeman. I always liked Freeman, but I believed that Kyle Shanahan's hubris was going to get in the way and he was going to bench him for Tevin Coleman. But I think it's undeniable now. It is what it is. He's having a great camp. They brought in Alex Mack on the offensive line, and supposedly since then he's just been on fire. And a lot of people say, oh, he's going to lose touches to Tevin Coleman. I don't think so. Get over it. You know what? If he does, it's just going to be more efficient. That's fine.
right, exactly. What's wrong with sharing the ball occasionally?
Yeah.
It's only going to keep him fresh. Yeah. I'm with you.
And obviously you start Julio Jones. As far as the sleepers are concerned, I'm going to say Matt Ryan just because Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman are so great, and his numbers last season did not really correlate to how much they moved the ball up and down the field. They just could not convert in the red zone. It can't be that bad again. It was just too weird. It was a very fluky year for the Falcons, so I don't believe that. And maybe Tevin Coleman is a handcuff. And then the do not draft list, I'm sorry, Mohamed Sanu, Justin Hardy, Jacob Tammy. If you're in a Kyle Shanahan offense and you're not the #1 wide receiver or the #1 running back, you're not on my fantasy team. That's how he runs his offense.
Bye.
Bye.
Seattle Seahawks at Kansas City Chiefs.
Must drafts Russell Wilson. He's getting drafted in the 4th round, and I'm okay with it. He and I
Coming
have
around,
come to
girl.
terms.
You're coming around.
We have found peace with each other. He probably is unaware that we've had a rift these years, but we have found peace. Thomas Rawls, he's going in the 3rd. I'm okay with it. It may be a little rich for me. I need to see camp. I definitely want to see camp on that. But he's off the pup list, which is good news. But we've got a couple players behind him. Do not concern yourself with Christian Michael. I want to hear his name. Don't even ask me. Don't even think about tweeting me a question about him. It is off limits for at least the first 4 weeks of the season. Don't even ask me. Doug Baldwin, again, I think he's a low-end wide receiver 1. I don't think he's even a top wide receiver 1. I think he's a low-end wide receiver 1. I think they're going to shift back to the running game, which they've expressed that they're going to shift back to the running game. I don't think that means that Doug Baldwin's not going to receive catches. He is going to receive catches, and he clearly will catch anything that is thrown his way. I just think he's a little bit on the slightly lower end. He's going in the 4th to 5th round, and I think that's exactly where he should go. So I think he's got some good value there. I think that's where you can target him, and you're fine. My sleepers, Paul Richardson. If you are bold, if you're willing to risk a bit, you can grab Paul Richardson at the end of your draft. He is the speedy, fastest guy on this team. He is a talent. And no, I am not saying this because he is a Colorado buff. That is not why. I believed in Paul Richardson for a while. He's just had a bad string of injuries, but he's looking really good in camp. He's fast. He allegedly is healthy. He's not going drafted. So if you want to do some crazy pick, or if you want to stream somebody or daily play, Paul Richardson's a possibility.
Ashley's
Jimmy
found
Graham.
her Terrell Pryor and Rod Streeter. And a little Paul Richardson.
It might be Paul Richardson. Might be.
Sweet.
Might be. Jimmy Graham, he's technically a sleeper these days, guys. He's going in the 11th round.
Awesome.
Did we ever think there was going to be that day? Did we ever think that day was coming?
That injury's bad.
I have Gronk and Jimmy Graham on the same team, and I laughed at myself. 2 years ago, I would have been like...
Yeah, you would have had no wide receivers or running backs. Yeah.
And then we got CJ. He's going in the 14th round, and his role is being compared to that of Fred Jackson while in Seattle in terms of how he's going to be used, because he is technically the third-string running back, but he's going to come in as a passing back, right? So if you look at how Jackson did, Jackson had the ball 26 times and caught 32 passes for 58 total touches. Expect around the same rookie here. So don't expect greatness out of him. There's a lot of hype. I'm not sure it's really warranted. We'll have to wait and see with training camp. But the don't drafts, I feel pretty good about pretty much everybody on this team. I don't think there's any obvious do not drafts on this team. Kansas City Chiefs, Jamal Charles is a given. Travis Kelce as the 7th highest scoring tight end is a given. Jeremy Maclin, who is the 16th highest scoring wide receiver, is a given, as is Kansas City defense, who is the 2nd highest, but also had the 2nd most interceptions in the league last year, and will be playing twice a very interesting quarterback crew in Denver, and Phillip Rivers, who loves to throw and air the ball out, and Derek Carr, who has been known to throw an interception or two here. I think they're going to be just fine. And everyone else you don't draft. Other than Charkandrick West. I do like Charkandrick West. I like yourself handcuffing yourself with Charkandrick West if you are a Jamal Charles person.
And if you listened to our show last week, you know we were pretty high on Nick Foles going to Dallas. That did not happen. He found a home in the Kansas City, Missouri. So there you go. There you go.
Yummy.
Yummy. It just continues. Awesome. Well, that's it for us, you guys. Make sure you listen to us next week. Make sure you listen to us on Saturday from 9 to 11 Eastern on SiriusXM Fantasy Network. Make sure you subscribe to herfantasyfootball.com. The tier draft sheet that we make is out of control and will save you at your drafts. We've used it every draft for the last 2 years, and it's amazing. So you have to subscribe to get that in the email. So do that. Do that now, and then you will also get the entry to our fun diced game that we do on our Sirius XM show. We have fun rules for FanDuel lineups. So subscribe. Subscribe now. Also give us a nice ranking on iTunes or listen to us on Blog Talk Radio. Chat with us on Twitter at HerFantasyFB or on Facebook /HerFantasyFootball. Until next time, no more faking it.